Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. We are going to be... Nope. I was going to say we're going to be reacting to. Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be talking about one of the top movies of this weekend. Sure. I don't know what I said. I honestly forgot everything I just said, but we're going to go with it. Now, I'm going to start this video off by saying I have seen Gladiator 1. It was a long time ago. Do I remember any of it? Not really. I'm gonna be honest. I honestly forgot Joaquin Phoenix was even in it, which is shocking, I know, but I haven't seen it in a long time, okay? So give me a break. So going into this movie, I did not have a lot of expectations. I know it is a sequel to a movie that came out like 20 plus years ago, and it's a Gladiator, I almost said Guardian, what the hell? Gladiator 1 is a well-regarded movie. So if you're gonna make a sequel, you're gonna have to make it pretty good, okay? There are very high expectations because you are basing it off a property that is well beloved. And that's sort of, I think, is what works against it. So I've seen a lot of reviews saying it doesn't live up to the first one. Period, the end. Where was I going with that? I had a very good point and I forgot. Even if I do remember the movie, I'm not one to hold that against movies because sometimes they do surprise you. This day and age, you never freaking know what you're gonna get. It's a coin toss when it comes to sequels. You either have them blow everything out of the water or you have it sink the entire franchise. The most recent example of like a really good sequel that came years late, I guess it'd be like a legacy sequel. Is that what we call it nowadays? I don't remember. But like Top Gun, right? Nobody was expecting it to be good and then it was like really great. It could have been a similar situation here, but I'm gonna get into why I think it's not that. It's kind of a goofy movie. And I mean that in like a not nice way. After I watched it, it left me feeling meh. Like I was like, okay, I just seen a movie. If this wasn't tied to Gladiator 1, I think that would have been okay. I think having this feeling of like, oh, it's a movie. It's a pretty good movie. It's okay. It's, you know, it does what it needs to do. It is what it says it is. It doesn't try to pretend to be anything other than that. An action-packed gladiator movie with a bunch of men fighting each other in a coliseum. But you do have the legacy of Gladiator 1, which I think definitely drags this down. Let's start off with some minute things that like, it's a me thing, right? We're gonna start with the visual effects. Now this is me because I'm coming off of Wicked. I thought Wicked had better visual effects than Gladiator 2 did. The CGI, particularly when it came to the animals and the water, like the very like first battle scene, why was that CGI? That was really weird. Some of the water effects was, I noticed, I tried not to notice. Certain moments like that kind of took me out of the movie. I don't want to harp on CGI artists because I feel like they get the short end of the stick. I know it's not their fault. I know they're probably time crunched, overworked, underpaid. I get it. But it's something that I did notice. I will say it is probably a me thing and a nitpick. Maybe other people don't mind it as much. I thought, other than like the animals in the water specifically, I thought the rest of it, like, you know, the Colosseum, a lot of the settings were really great. Just certain elements, you know, once he's fighting, I think there were supposed to be bamboos. We'll try to get through this video today, folks. Just hang in there. Bamboo. Oh my god, I did it again. I did it again. Baboons. Baboons. Holy shiza. I have to live with myself 24/7, okay? It's rough. When it came to those creatures, I was like, what are they supposed to be? I was really confused. I think they were malnourished. I don't know. Again, nitpick, can overlook it for the overall story if the story was good. Sort of piggybacking off of that, the action sequences were excellent. I thought like the fighting, Paul Mescal. Oh my gosh, what is going on? I think I'm having a stroke. Paul Mescal, I thought he did a really great job with his fighting sequences. Pedro Pascal, obviously, King did excellent as well. He was given Oberyn Martell, not quite as like slippery and slithery as Oberyn, but definitely like he was given his good old Game of Thrones days. Whoever the fight coordinator was did an excellent job of like making it look very realistic and brutal and violent. I did forget that this was supposed to be a rated R movie, but then, you know, like somebody's head would get chopped off and I'm like, oh yeah, it is. And I like that. I know that sounds wrong, but like I do enjoy having those quick moments of like brutality. It's like, oh, it's a little bit like get your heart going, you know? So a part of the problem that I had with this movie, there's a couple things that I think are legitimate other than just like me nitpicking. One of the things was kind of the pacing of this movie. It felt a little bit off, especially like noticeable when it comes to like character motivations. and some of their choices. Like when Lucius, Paul Mescal's character, he starts off as hating Rome, and then his wife gets killed by Pedro Pascal's character, Acacius, and then he ends up vowing to kill Acacius. He has this moment with his mother. He's like, I hate you. The boy you thought you sent away is long dead. Get out of here. I don't want to ever see you again. And then he finally gets to fight Acacius in the Colosseum. They have like this short, quick exchange about his father and his mother. And in that moment, he decides to spare Acacius, which I'm like, you just spent this entire time vowing to kill him. And then in like another scene, quickly after that, he forgives his mother. And it's like, I love you. I'll do anything to protect you in Rome. And it's like, okay, that was quick. And I wish we would have spent more time seeing why he changes his mind, other than just this quick exchange between Acacius and him in this battle. Which, by the way, that fight was really great. It felt a little too rushed to get to from point A to point B. It was like we sped run all of the development that he was supposed to go through to get to point B. I don't know. I wish we would have had more scenes. Maybe we could have taken out one of the Colosseum fights. Like, I don't know if people liked the shark arena thing. I know, is that historically accurate? Who knows? We probably could have taken that out, and we could have filled that in more with, like, maybe we see why Lucius decides to change his mind a little bit towards both Acacius and his mother and Rome. Maybe he sees a little bit more of the crazy emperor brothers inflicting cruelty, and maybe he sees that it's actually them behind Acacius. They are the reasons why Acacius raided his home and killed his wife. Maybe if we've seen more of him understanding that, then I would have understood the transition a little bit more from him changing his mind and his motivations and his goals. Again, I feel like some of the Gladiator fights, I understand it's called Gladiator II, but I think that's what kind of holds this movie down sometimes. I feel like we could have taken out maybe just one, use that time to develop some of these other character motivations or plots or whatever. And then that way we can kind of brace the pacing a little bit more instead of like speed running some of these character goals and motivations. Pedro Pascal's character, I wish we would have had a little bit more from him. He did like really great in the beginning and a little bit great at the end. He had great character moments, but sort of like that in between, he just kind of felt stagnant, like he was just there to be there sometimes. I really don't mind that he died. It makes sense for the direction that we're going with the plot, but wish we got more from him. The plot itself, speaking of the plot, I really didn't have any problems with it. Like on paper, the plot, it sounds like a really interesting plot of like overthrowing corrupt rulers in favor of the people. How do we do that? Gladiator arenas, get people to love somebody, and then have the celebrity lead the charge against the corrupt emperors. Interesting. And, you know, we have other sort of politics behind it. And I don't know if this is just me, but I kind of wish we would have seen more of the political side of it all. I think that is just me. A lot of people, it's called Gladiator II, they want to see fights. We're gonna get fights. Especially with like Denzel Washington's character, whose name is, I gotta look it up, Macrinus. I wish we would have seen more of his conniving, planning, scheming behind the scenes. Like we've seen a pretty good amount of it. It's just, again, you're not really sure where his character stands. Like, is he the good guy? Is he the bad guy? He buys Lucius and trains him as a gladiator, so you assume that he's gonna be kind of like his mentor to overthrow the corrupt twins. And they do kind of like a little bit of a twist with his character, and like maybe he's actually a little bit conniving and he's actually trying to play for the throne. Let me tell you though, Denzel Washington, he ate every scene he was in. He was just flowing around in his cloaks. I know he stole some of that wardrobe, took it home, lounging in that to this day. The blue and gold combination, I think his character is very interesting. I just wish we would have seen more of his plotting. I think it's because of the pacing, because like we spent like, I would say the good first half of the movie thinking that he is just the good guy and he's helping Paul Mescal's character get what he wants, but then we kind of see this turn of like how he actually is. The gambler guy, he ends up taking over his home. It's like you still don't know that he's playing for the throne. You're still not really sure where he stands until he gets the one twin, the crazy twin, the syphilis twin, to turn against the other twin. And then you can kind of see him being as like this malicious weirdo. He, you know, when he starts playing with the one twin's head, that's when it's like, okay, he crazy. That kind of felt like it came out of nowhere, because like this entire time he was just kind of, he was normal. He was normal. He was a little conniving. He was a little, you know, You know, he was like jovial. And then another thing too is like the tone. I felt like Denzel Washington and the twins were in a different movie than like Lucius, Pedro Pascal, and Connie Nelson's character. They were two completely different tones. The twins were so dramatic, and I get why they were, because they're a little loopy, I get it. But Denzel Washington's character, he was also kind of, you know, dramatic. But then you would cut to like Lucius and Pedro Pascal and Connie Nelson, and they were like all sincere. And it's like this tonal shift that's like, ooh, a little bit jarring. This movie, like, I really want to like it because I think there was a lot of good things going for it. Like, again, the action was really great. I just wish, maybe I wish there was less action and more development of the characters and like their motivations. If you go into this movie comparing it to the first one, you are going to be disappointed. I don't think I was necessarily like disappointed with this movie. I was just thinking about what this movie could have been. I just wish it was better, I guess. I don't know. It was an okay movie. It was an okay movie. I genuinely think, like, if you don't have any expectations, if you're not comparing it to the first one, I think you'll have a great time with this movie. It is very action-packed if you're looking for a bunch of men fighting each other or fighting animals. Maybe you want a little bit, like, just a sprinkle of, like, politicalness into it. You'll enjoy this movie. But if you're expecting too much out of it, or you're expecting it to be either like the first movie, or you're expecting it to be completely different from the first movie while also paying respect to the first movie, I think you might be a little bit disappointed. Ridley Scott, though, that man's like 80-something years old and he's still making movies. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. I know he did Napoleon, and a lot of people didn't like Napoleon. I actually didn't mind it too much. It was weird. It was a weird movie, but I was like, I'm here for it, I guess. I'm strapped in. This movie, I feel like it was trying to be weird, but like it was also tying in, like I said, just the tonal shift of like having chaotic, like, here's the thing though. Okay, now I'm back on it. If you were gonna have sort of this crazed and like dramatic over-the-top performance from like the twins and Denzel Washington, then I feel like the other characters should have matched that energy. Another thing too, we didn't really have very many interactions between like Lucius and the Emperor twins. I mean, to be fair though, they're not really the main villain at the end of the movie, but they are a big plot of like why Rome is like, okay, we need to change, because having these two as emperor makes them realize that we deserve better. We deserve a better ruler. So I wish we would have had more interactions between the twins and Lucius. Another thing, I get that Denzel Washington's character ends up being the end-all villain, but I also wish we would have had more interactions. We have a lot of interactions between him and Lucius, but I wish we would have had more moments of realization from Lucius as to like why maybe this guy who we thought was okay, who was an okay dude, maybe is actually as diabolical as the twins. Like, I wish we would have had more moments of realization from him about that. The ending was also a little bit weird. Him and Lucius fight it out. That I was fine with. I was confused as to like, why did we need the army? There's a lot of like logistical stuff that happened towards the end where I'm like, why would you do that? Why would that work? Why would Denzel Washington's character kill Lucius's mother when he already killed the emperors? What would that have, where would that have gotten him? The more that I think about the ending, the more that I'm like, I have a lot of questions too. Why did the army come? I get that they were kind of a distraction, but why did they come? Acacius is dead. They're coming on the word from a random stranger. I think people think he's dead, right? Because nobody knows where he went. He ran away a long ass time ago when he was 12. Do people even like know his name? I would have forgotten by then. Be like, oh yeah, this one famous kid from a long time ago. Next in line. Who? Why did they come? I don't know. How did they get there that fast? I don't know. I do not know. There's a lot of logistical stuff towards the end where you can't question it too much, otherwise you'll start finding holes. So yeah, that's done with this movie. Done talking about it. So that is going to be it for today's, I almost said reaction again. That is going to be it for today's review. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one, which is going to be who the heck knows what. So yeah.